and welcome back to Salmon's Pizzeria. This is our Orders Up series where we interview people and see what it was like from their shoes. I'm delighted to say that today's guest is a man that had a fantastic playing career in Scotland and England, scoring a very, very famous FA Cup goal against Arsenal. A coaching career that is also absolutely delightful, that's taken him from Scotland and England and even as far as Qatar. Our guest is Brian Rice. Brian, how is everything going?
Hi, Stu. Thanks for inviting me on. Everything's going great. Season's just started. Team started well. So, no, lots to look forward to.
Yes, definitely. And I want to get into some of that as well. But we'll start off at the very, very start, Brian. In terms of, I know you sort of make your professional debut at Hibs, but in terms of sort of youth career, where was it a different team, or did you come up through sort of the Hibs youth teams as well?
No, I played with a boys' club in Whitburn in West Lothian. I played there all my days. I went to Celtic as a 13-year-old, and I was there for 3 seasons. Got released from there. Actually got released in the same night as Pat Nevin.
Wow.
You know, it was a good squad I was in there at the time. Jim McInally, Paul McStay, Jimmy Dobbin, Pat Nevin, myself, Charlie Nicholas, Danny Craney, loads of good players, but I wasn't good enough, so got released for there. And then I went to Hibs. Hibs was my first real protocol.
Yeah, and sort of when you're there, that they are in the, I guess was it the second? Was it called the first division at the time, or the second?
Yeah,
division?
it was the Scottish first division. Yeah, it was the first division.
Yes. Do you feel like that gave you more of a chance as a younger player? Obviously, Hibs are a big club, but being at a sort of lower tier, is that a bigger chance for young players?
Well, it should be. You know, the lower down you get, the more chance you've got to get in regular first team football. But when I went to Hibs in those days, they'd just been promoted for the first division back into the top league. So it was difficult. It was difficult. I was just a young lad. I was only just turned 17. Excuse me. So it was really that was my first steps into professional football. And I played for about a season and a half in the reserves and then the youth team before I got my chance in the first team. And that's something I'll never ever forget.
Yeah, and when I was looking into sort of your time at Hibs, Bertie Auld takes over, of course, European Cup winner. The facilities and training are obviously a lot different to how they would be now. But how was it just playing under someone like Bertie who achieved so much in the game?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. You know, everybody knew Bertie Auld. Them that knows anything about Scottish football know who Bertie Auld was and what a fantastic football player he was. I used to watch Bertie Auld playing, and he always used outside of his foot. And whenever we trained, if we used outside of his foot, he used to send us off and we'd run a lap of the park. You know, but you know, I learned a lot from Bertie. He actually gave me my debut. He gave me my debut at Motherwell as a young lad, and you know, he would take me out in the afternoon and he'd work on things with me. You know, the passes he wanted, the areas he wanted me to hit, and I learned an awful lot from him. You know, he gave me some individual coaching which really progressed me quickly.
Amazing. And can you remember many standouts in that Hibs side? I know towards the sort of end of your time at Hibs, sort of Gordon Jury and the like were coming through, but can you remember any real standout players whilst you were in the team?
Well, when I was a young lad, you know, we had a player, Ralph Callaghan, who had played for Hearts, who had played for Newcastle, came back to Hibs. We had Jackie McNamara's dad, Jackie McNamara Senior, who came from Celtic. And obviously we had the daft goalkeeper, Alan Ruff. You know, and Ruffy was absolutely fantastic, you know. With a lot of good characters. Remember, the squads weren't as big in those days. You know, You only carrying 26, 27 players, you know. So it's a lot of good characters, a lot of good players. And then just before I left, you know, we'd signed Gordon Jury for East Fife. And there was a young lad called John Collins breaking through as well.
Wow.
So, you know, a lot of good players at Hibs and a lot of good friends.
Amazing. And during that time, because I want to go on to sort of Nottingham Forest, but during your time at Hibs, you were part of the 1982 European Under-18 European Championship winners with Scotland. I think that tournament was out in Finland. How was that as an experience as a young boy? Because I think we sort of beat England on the way as well, so that's always a good one. But to win the whole thing must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was fantastic. You're right. It was in Finland, and it was just a brilliant experience. We had a fantastic team, and we were lucky enough to get to the final where we played the Czech Republic, and we won 3-1. I was actually a midfield player playing, but I had to play left back in the final because Jim McInally had got 2 bookings, so I got drafted in at left back. I wouldn't have played in the final because there was a lot more better players. There was a lot better players than me in that squad, but I did play left back. But let's say it was a fantastic squad, and because we won that, we went to the Youth World Cup in Mexico the following year, and that was an experience that was absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, it really was. We were sort of guinea pigs for the first team going to the World Cup in '86. So they'd done a lot of testing on us prior to the tournament. Taking us to altitude, taking blood, taking us down to altitude, training different ways, eating at different times. But the games were fantastic. We actually played Mexico at the Aztec Stadium. There was about 120,000 people there, and we won 1-0.
Wow.
Steve Clarke scored the goal, the Scottish national manager.
Oh, wow.
I think it's the only goal I can ever remember Steve Clarke scoring. And I think he actually smiled when he scored. I'm not too sure about that. But no, but I wouldn't have got that opportunity if Hibs never gave me the opportunity to play in the first team. So I think you've always got to be grateful and remind yourself where you started and who gave you chances in life. And I've always tried to take that into my coaching and my managerial career, giving young players chances, because somebody to give me a chance. And I've never ever forgot that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then you do make the move to Nottingham Forest under the famous Brian Clough. How did that sort of move come about, and how big of an opportunity was that for you at that age?
Well, the opportunity came about because I was out of contract and I couldn't agree terms with Hibs. I think I wanted an extra 15 quid a week, and they would have given me an extra 15 quid a week. And it was a funny story because in those days we never had laptops and mobile phones or any of that stuff. So when I came home for training, I was down the park playing football with my pals, and my dad came down and he says, "You better go back up to the house. There's going to be a phone call for you in 10 minutes. And it's for another club." And it was a house phone, and I picked the phone up, and it was Ronnie Fenton, who was assistant manager at Nottingham Forest. And he says, "Look, we're interested in signing you," and that started the transfer. So I went into Hibs the next day, said my goodbyes, and off I went to Nottingham. And just hearing that Brian Clough was interested in you, that was enough. I mean, they could have been playing in the 4th division. I wouldn't have cared. I'd watched enough of Brian Clough on the telly, this character who lit up the TV screens, fascinating viewing. And I knew 1 or 2 players there. Jim McInally again, who's, once again, he's involved in where I'm going to go. So, to go to Nottingham and to be in the top league in England and to be in Europe, all those sort of things. It was an opportunity. I couldn't refuse it.
Absolutely. And on Brian Clough, what was he like? Does he just carry that, or is he like you see when you see those clips of him on TV and that, or is he a bit different?
No, he's better than that. No, he's box office.
Amazing.
He's absolutely box office. People have heard all the stories, and there's you could spend the full night talking about Brian Clough. What you'll never get, but is how was he so good? What did he do? Because there isn't an answer to that. There's no defining thing that you can say he was so good because of this. He just knew people. He knew the game. He kept things simple, and he kept us on our toes. Every day was a different day. Every day you just didn't know what was going to happen. Were you going to be training? Were you going to be playing cricket? Were you going to walk along the Trent? We flew to France one day to play a friendly match. Nobody knew where we were going. We just got told to bring our passports. He just kept you on your toes, and because of what he'd achieved in the game, the respect he had for the man was incredible. And he's a man you didn't want to cross. But I think the biggest thing was he was a man you wanted to play for. He gave you the freedom. We weren't coached tactically. We never worked on anything. He just got players and put them into positions and allowed them to play and gave us little pointers. And he built a squad with loads of good players, a lot of international players, but no players that thought they were better than everybody else. We were all a team. It didn't matter. And I think that was the most important thing. He treated everybody the same.
Amazing. 22 games and sort of 5 goals in your first season's decent return. Only make 4 the following season. Is this sort of, are you picking up injuries or are you finding your feet? I know you do have a couple of loans out as well, but is it obviously a little drop off in the second season in terms of appearances?
Yeah, the second season is. I think he came to his senses and started leaving me out. I'm being honest. He tried to watch me try to use my right foot. No, when you're at a big club like that or a team that's successful, they've got to keep looking for better players all the time. It never stands still. Recruitment never stands still. And that's what it was at Nottingham. They were always looking to improve. And the players they was bringing in were better players than me. It's as simple as that. They were better than me. I wasn't applying myself properly as well as I could. And it's very difficult to get a run in the team. When the team's doing well, trying to break into the team is very difficult. I touched on it earlier. There was only 2 subs sometimes. There was only 2 subs in those days, sorry. Very, very difficult to get in the squad, never mind get in the team. And if the team were playing well, it's difficult to break back in. But, the first season was fantastic for me. It was fantastic going down there. I couldn't play until September. I made my debut at Anfield in September, on the 10th of September. The 3rd of September. I made my debut at Anfield on the 3rd of September, 1985. I couldn't play up to September because the 2 clubs couldn't agree a fee. Hibs and Nottingham couldn't agree a fee for me, so I had to go to a tribunal. It was one of the first tribunals, and they had to pay nearly £200,000. And when I went back down to Nottingham, I got back down late the next morning and I go into the training pitch and the manager shouted me over, the gaffer shouted me over and says, "Look, £200,000. He says, I would need to sell the stand to pay that. He says, you need to go back to Scotland. And, I stood there frozen. What does this mean? And he just started laughing. He says, I'm sure you'll repay me back. And that's just how it was. But first season was fantastic for me, Second season, there was better players than me coming in. I had to wait my turn. And I had a couple of loan spells. I had a few loan spells, went out. There's nothing worse than being a football player and not playing football, So the chance to just go and play football, that's what you want to do. And that's all I wanted to do. And go and see if I could get some rave reports and maybe get back in these plans. And that's what I tried to do.
Absolutely. And listen, you go on to make 38 appearances the season after. Forest finished 3rd, which is absolutely incredible. And of course, you net that memorable goal in the FA Cup against Arsenal when you win 2-1. I watched it back again last night, and it's some finish as well, the little sort of dink over the keeper. What obviously we'll go into how big that goal is for you, but what's going through your head when you're sort of one-on-one, bearing down on goal in there? Are you thinking I'm lifting it? Are you thinking I'm going around the keeper, or did just sort of adrenaline take over?
The first thing I've got to say is it's a fantastic pass from Nigel Clough. It's honestly, he just drills the ball at me. And I took a good first touch. I took a really good first touch, pushed the ball out in front of me. But my biggest fear was getting caught. I think I'd England back 4 chasing me, And I wasn't renowned for my pace, as it's a standard joke with everyone. But my thought was just get there and then we'll see what happens. And when I got through there, John Lukic was in goals. And I don't think people realise John Lukic was 6'3", very big goalkeeper and quite opposing when he's coming to meet him, but it was just a battle of wills then. But I was confident. I was always confident when I went 1v1 with the goalkeeper. And I just wanted him to make the first move, and he sort of made the first move. So I just chipped him then.
Yeah, some finish. It was incredible. And obviously you do go on and beat Arsenal in the end 2-1. I mean, in an instant, writing yourself into Nottingham Forest folklore. Just how big was that for you? And was that I don't know if it had happened earlier for you, but if not, was that a real you've made it moment?
I didn't realise it at the time. I didn't realise it was the first time Forest had ever beaten Arsenal in the FA Cup. And I didn't know the significance this goal would have to this day for me. And it wasn't until a few years later, and even now, that people still talk about it, and people like yourself still remind me of it. I can remember it like it was yesterday, but what it has given me, it's given me a great bond with the Nottingham Forest supporters. You know, a couple of podcasts I've done. I've been down to Nottingham quite a few times to games, doing a bit of hospitality and things like that. And it's, you know, it's absolutely fantastic because I'm not really that sort of person. I like to keep myself to myself and just go about things. And I always think I was very, very fortunate to play for a club like Nottingham Forest for so long. But that goal, it's people bring it up all the time. You know, I think a lot of the supporters when they get drunk, they go online and they start doing all this stuff. And I love it. I just love it. I laugh at it. Actually, I laugh at it because I mean we're talking 40 years ago now, aren't we? We're probably 35 years ago. 35 years ago, and it's to me, it's just like yesterday. You know, I keep saying that. Yeah, the goal was a decent goal, but the pass was magnificent for Nigel. You know, and nobody ever talks about the first goal. Nobody ever talks about the first goal.
Doesn't he?
Paul Wilkinson hits one in the top corner for about 25 yards.
Yeah.
And, you know, nobody ever speaks about that, thank God. You know, mine gets all the publicity. It's very, very humbling. I must admit, it's very, very humbling. But, you know, it's obviously the highlight of my career.
Yes, I can't argue with that. I mean, it is such a huge moment. And obviously you played, like I said, 38 times that season. Forest finished third. Is there any rumours of Scotland call-ups? Because you're playing for the third best team in England at this time. And you've obviously played at Scotland youth level. Is there any call-up coming through or any talk of it?
No, I don't think I was ever close to that. I was never ever close to that. You know, I think the position Forest played me, you know, I went down and I started as a midfield player as a kid, ended up playing at centre back, went into Hibs, played midfield all the 5-6 years I was at Hibs. And then when I went to Nottingham, they decided to put me in the left wing. You know, I had a guy called Stuart Pearce playing behind me. You know, you maybe have heard of him. So we became fantastic friends, and we still are fantastic friends. He's actually been up to Scotland quite a few times with me in that. And I had him playing behind me, and it was quite simple. I used to just get the ball and come inside, and he'd run round outside of me, and I would fill in for him with a good relationship, with a really good relationship on and off the pitch. But I never had the pace to play international football, and I'm honest enough to admit that I wasn't good enough to play international football. You know, I was nowhere near good enough to play international football. I was lucky enough to get a game in Nottingham Forest with the players they had. You know, I've said it quite a few times. I think I was a good team player. I wasn't a great individual player, but I think I was a good team player. Brian Clough used to say that to me. He used to say, "You're doing a fantastic job for Piercy." He says, "In fact, you're doing that good a job. He's getting an international cap." He says, "But you're going to go to my team because you're doing his work." You know, and it made me think. You know, it's just the way football was. I was never close, and I shouldn't have been close anyway because there was better players than me going about.
Oh, still playing for such a big club though, and regularly. I think, listen, if it was nowadays, I think the media it'd be like a Ryan Gould situation. They'd be craving for you to get a chance, considering how well you were doing at the time. During your time there as well, there's obviously the ban on English clubs in Europe. Is that sort of a blow when you're down there, and because you're testing yourself against England's elite, but not necessarily Europe's elite?
Yeah, that was a massive blow because when I did sign, they'd already qualified for Europe. And I think in all the seasons I was there, I think we'd have qualified every year because of our cup runs and because of our league positions. But the one thing it didn't stop us doing was playing European games because we used to travel a lot. We'd done a lot of travelling. He liked us to get us away, get sun on our back and enjoy a break, maybe 4 or 5 times a year. And quite a lot of that coincided with playing a match. You know, we played loads of matches. We played loads of foreign teams and friendly matches behind closed doors. It's just, you know, it'd have been an icing on the cake if we'd have got into Europe, especially the record Forest had in Europe. You know, we won in the 2 European Cups back to back. They became a household name in Europe at that stage. And it was a big draw for me going, not just because of the gaffer, but because of the history of the club over the previous 10 years. And it was a blow not to play in Europe because it's every player's dream, to do well in the league, to qualify for Europe, go on these trips, and test yourself. But like I said, we played lots of friendly matches and got a lot of experience doing that.
Fair enough. And then your time does come to an end with Forest, and is it Jim Jeffries that takes you back to Scotland and back up to Falkirk? Have you got other options at this point to stay in England, or were you ready to come home? How did that one sort of come about?
No, I was ready to come home. My eldest daughter was only 18 months, and she had meningitis, and it was a real scare for me and my missus, a real scare, and we just decided, look, the time's right now to move. I wasn't a regular in the team again, and I just decided, no, I want to go home. I want to go back to Scotland to play, and I went to Falkirk, which I must admit I couldn't have picked a better club to go to when I came back home. It was close to my home in Whitburn. I knew a lot of the players. It was a brilliant little stadium to play at. It was rocking at times when it was full. And Jim Jeffries and Billy Brown were absolutely magnificent to work for. They managed us so well, and we built a good team. And I just loved it. I absolutely loved my time at Falkirk.
Amazing. Yeah, over 100 games for him, winning a Challenge Cup. You move on to sort of Dunfermline and then Clyde and Morton, respectively. I know at Morton you sort of go in as an assistant manager and play as well. But when you're before Morton, are you already considering coaching? Are you already taking any steps? Is it in your mind at all?
Yeah, when I was at Nottingham, I done my C licence in England when I was really young. But Brian Clough didn't like him doing licences. He didn't believe in licences. He didn't believe in coaching. So, what to do it like the QT, don't let the gaffer know we're doing a licence. I remember Brian Laws was doing a licence, and he unfortunately told the gaffer he was doing it. So during a team talk at half time one day, he says, what's the point of me talking? Laws, he's got all the licences. He'll tell you how to play. And that was it. So don't mention anything, but. No, I got a taste of coaching with Jim Jeffries, Falkirk. If you don't know me, I'm a football nut. I just love going to games. I love watching football. I go to games as often as I can. I used to go every night, anytime. It's my hobby as well. That's what I love doing, going watching football. But I used to go and watch Falkirk, the reserves playing at night to see the young kids coming through and whatever. And Kevin Drinkle was playing for the first team, but he was also the coach of the reserves, and he was actually moving on to Stirling Albion to become the manager. And the gaffer, Jim Jeffries, says to me, look, you go to all the games, you want to come and get a wee taste of it, see if it's for you. And that was my first taste of it, and that was me right away, hooked, absolutely hooked. Now we're talking here 1990, 94, and that was me hooked. Just for then on, it's been a massive part of my life. I just love it. I like the coaching better than I like playing. People will not believe that, but I didn't think I was the greatest player. I thought I was an average player who got lucky, who appreciates everything he's had at the game. But the coaching for me, that's the side of the game I'm fascinated with. And I don't, right to this day, every day is a challenge, and I love it.
Amazing. Obviously, I can tell anyway because you speak with so much passion about it. You obviously, when you're at Morton, as I mentioned, you assistant manager to Ian McCall. Obviously, everyone will know Ian McCall. And then again at Airdrieonians, obviously, there's a lot of issues going on with Airdrieonians at that time, and unfortunately, what happens. But how was it sort of being employed there when there is so much uncertainty going on around the club?
I didn't have a lot to do with it. Ian was the manager. He was the one taking the brunt of it, and he was the one trying to deal with it. The most important thing then is that you've got the players' heads right. We try not to have any excuses for the performances on a Saturday. So we've got to get the coaching right. We've got to get the training right. We've got to get the boys want to come and play, because there was a lot of hostility towards these players when we first went in. But with some of the players we brought in, your Owen Coyles, people like that, they lit the place up at Airdrie, and the fans soon become one side, and they've done really, really well. But the most important thing is getting the players right so they're ready to play on a Saturday, and giving it everything. So the fans see them giving it everything, win, lose or draw. as long as they give it everything. And that's something we've done at Airdrie, Marcel and Ian and Gordon Chisholm. You know, we got everybody on side and we got everybody united. And it was a great little spin.
Amazing. And then you stick with Ian McCall again as you return to Falkirk. He then moves on to Dundee United, and you stay at Falkirk when John Hughes comes in. Is that just a case of Falkirk being a good fit for you, because you do so often see assistant managers and managers as a duo? They sort of go everywhere together. And this one obviously is ended as Ian McCall moves on and you stay. Is it just a case of Falkirk being right for you?
Well, it's a wee bit different to you called it there, Stu. Ian McCall went to Falkirk, him and Gordon Chisholm. And I actually stayed at Airdrie. There wasn't enough room to get us all in. So Ian and Gordon had worked together a long time. So they went and I stayed at Airdrie. And it's when Ian McCall moved on to Dundee United that John Hughes and Owen Coyle took over at Falkirk as player coaches. So they two were playing and they needed somebody in the dugout, you know, to be in the dugout at the side of the pitch. And that's when I got the phone call to go there. And I mean, I jumped at the chance to go back to Falkirk. You know, Falkirk's a special place in my heart. So they two were on the pitch playing, and I was on the bench. And you know, we were top of the league and going well in the Scottish Cup. So it was a brilliant time to get into Falkirk, and we went there and we won the league that season. And it was the last season at Brockville, you know, which made it even more special. And the new stadium was getting ready to get built. You know, it was a special time. It was a special place, and it was a special team. And that was the start of a long relationship with Falkirk again.
Amazing. Yeah, apologies. Sometimes the research isn't the best when you're scrounging around online for it. If it happens again, just point it out. It's fine. You do then move to Hibs with Yogi. After that, you sort of leave at the same time he does there. In terms of what you were doing in this period, I know there's a big move that comes for you in a while. But is it right that you sort of moved on to sort of some scouting at Watford? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was when we left Hibs. I lived quite near where Falkirk trained by this stage. I lived there still in uni, and Falkirk were training up there. And I used to go up and just watch, pass the days. And Alex Smith says to me one day, "Come on, get your gear on and come and help the young kids. You know, we can't pay you or anything like that, but give them your experience." And so that's what I did, and it was fantastic. Then the opportunity came for me to go to Watford. Ross Wilson, who most people in Scottish football know, he'd got the job down there. Sort of doing the job he does now, and the manager was Sean Dyche, and Sean was actually my boot boy at Nottingham Forest. When I was at Nottingham Forest, Sean came in as a 15-year-old, and he was cleaning my boots and doing my kit. And his coaches were Ian Woan, who played with me at Forest, and Tony Laughlin, who also came to Nottingham Forest. So I went down to meet Sean, and we had a wee chat, and he was saying to me, "What do you like doing?" I said, I love coaching. I love looking at players, recruitment, going and watch the opposition. So I've done a bit of all that. You know, I helped out a wee bit with the reserves, doing match reports, going scouting. For somebody like me, it's the dream come true. You know, go to the training ground in the morning, watch a bit of training, jump in the car, say, right, well, season 3 days, I'm away to watch 9 games, you know, or 8 games. And I would just go to game after game after game, looking for players. And weekend comes, right, go and see the opposition next week, get your report in. To me, it was a dream come true, the best job you could possibly have for somebody that's a football addict, you know. And it was a brilliant year. It was an absolutely fantastic year. Then it comes to an end, the club gets sold, and the Pozzo family come in, who had Udinese and who had Granada in Spain, and appointed Zola as the manager, and the rest is all went a merry way.
Yeah, I think they've appointed about 35 managers since then, haven't they? It's been a bit crazy. And then the one that I sort of remember reading this. I think it was in the Daily Record at the time, so I'm glad to get a chance to speak about it. You moved to Qatar with, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, but is it Al Khor? And you go and do some sort of coaching out there. How was that as an experience?
Well, I've worked with the SFA as well for the last 15, 16 years, working on the A and the B licence with the coaches coming through. We call it coaching, tutoring, mentoring the coaches, coaching the coaches, helping them get their licences. One of the courses I was on, there was a Moroccan lad on the course, and I was on holiday, and I got a phone call. He says there's a position here in Qatar if you fancy it. I'd left Watford about 3-4 months, and there was nothing really doing, so I said, why not? Training the sun, coaching the sun, living the sun. And I thought I'll give this a go. And I went across and I was taking the under 18 team. They weren't very good. It wasn't a very good standard. And I was a wee bit frustrated. But the manager of the first team came to watch a couple of sessions, and then he called me in and he says, look, I want you to come and work with the reserve team. And after they finished training, the first team training, then come and train with me. Well, to me, that was a godsend, kill my day, train with the reserves 4 o'clock to 6, then go with the first team 7 to 10 every day. And that coach was a man called Laszlo Baloni, who's a famous Romanian player, manager. He's played in the national team, I think, about 112 times. He played with Steaua Bucharest, played with Hagi, played in the World Cups and everything. His managerial career is unbelievable. He gave Cristiano Ronaldo his debut at Sporting Lisbon. He's managed Sporting Lisbon. He's managed loads of teams. He managed Romania, Monaco. I mean, the list is incredible. He's been in different countries. So this was a new experience for me watching him. And I used to, every time I went home at night, I'd write down the sessions he'd done. I'd done that. And then I'd send them to Yogi at Inverness, and he'd try them at Inverness. That's what I mean. Yogi worked. But I just learned so much from this guy. His experience. And, me and him we'd play tennis at 6 o'clock in the morning at his compound, and then I'd go back and I'd meet him in the afternoon, a cup of coffee. Then at night I'd go training with him after I'd finished the training in the reserves, and just listening to him and talking to him, his experience. And he'd been to Scotland before when he was in the Navy, and he would tell me all this sort of stuff. And it was just, I just loved it. I was picking somebody's brain. This guy's played at the highest level. He's coached at the highest level. What an opportunity, to try and learn. And I learned quite a bit from him. And it really was a brilliant experience.
Amazing. And then obviously speaking of Yogi, he is at Inverness and he takes you there. Was there any doubt in your mind about leaving the goal for the Highlands, or was it sort of you couldn't wait to get back?
Well, it's funny because he'd been at me for about a season. Come and help me. And I kept saying, no, I like it here. I'm enjoying it. The manager I'm working with and all this. And then the night before I was due to fly back to Qatar, he was on the phone. He says, come on, you need to come up. I need a hand. And I don't know what it was. I says, aye, okay. And that was us back together again. But it really was. Working with Yogi is just so special and incredible. He was always the manager, but he always gave me my place, always gave me, what do you think we should be doing? He listened, we talked, we listened, we debated, we argued. When I actually went up to Inverness, he says, you come and stay with me. So we had this house out in the water, near the water, and he was downstairs and I was upstairs. And all we had in the living room was a 3-piece suite, a telly, and a massive big table. And we brought this tactics board home. It's the biggest tactics board I've ever seen. And I'd be lying in bed at night, maybe about 11 o'clock, I'd heard the shout, Chipper, come here. And I'd run down the stair and he'd set something out in the tactics board. He says, you're the Blues, what would you do if I'd done that with the Reds? And I would say, I'd do this and do that. Said, I knew you'd do that, I knew you'd say that. Aye, okay, see you in the morning. So I'd go way back up to bed. About an hour and a half later, I'd hear, Chipper, and I'd run away down the stair. What is it? He says, what would you do if I'd done that, but? And I'd sit and I'd look and say, I don't know. I'd maybe do this. He said, but I would do that. I said, that's a problem. He said, right, we'll coach that tomorrow. Come on, let's get our heads around it. And we'd be fucking sitting there for ages. Right, okay, up in the morning, let's go to work. And it was like that. It's 24/7 with him. It's so infectious, always thinking, always want to get better, different ways. How can we do it differently? It really was. I spent so much time with him in cars. on buses and hotels. It just, it was mind blowing the things we used to come up with and talk about, and just stimulate the players, be different, Don't have any regrets. Don't sit in the house thinking, I should have done this. Let's go and try things. And it's, like I say, I can't thank him enough.
Amazing. Yeah, and then obviously in 2019, you take your first steps into management with Hamilton. Had there been chances sort of before that? Because it was obviously a later start into management. You obviously done so much coaching, but was there a chance? What was sort of the impetus to then get into it at that point?
I was working at St Mirren. I was working under Owen. Alan Stubbs took me to St Mirren, and Alan left, and Owen Kearney came in for Ireland, and I was working with Owen, who was a lovely guy, who was really good at his job. And then I got a phone call from Hamilton saying they would have been interested. I had 3 or 4 opportunities before to become, the number one or manager, whatever you want to call it. I don't really like that. I like head coach better. But I didn't feel I was ready. I'd been an assistant manager or a head or a coach, first team coach for about 20 odd years now. I didn't feel I was ready, because I'd seen what Yogi had to go through with the board and fans forums and dealing with players and agents and the media and all this, and it wasn't for me. It wasn't my cup of tea. It done nothing for me, But when Hamilton come calling, I knew the owners. I'd worked with the owners at Clyde when they first came into Clyde in 1997, and I had a brilliant relationship with them, a fantastic relationship with them. And I knew the model at Hamilton. I knew the model at Hamilton was get the youths in, play them, make a pathway for them, sell them on, reinvest in the youth. And it's something I spoke about earlier when we first started about, I've never, ever forgot that Bertie Auld gave me a chance at Hibs at 17. And for me, what's the point of being a football player, coming out of school and going in and learning your trade if you're not, there's no pathway, if nobody's got to give you a chance? How do you get experience? You only get experience by somebody throwing you in. And that's what happened to me. And I knew that I would be allowed to do that at Hamilton. I said to him, look, it might take a couple of years till we get back on track. I says, but there's one thing I'll do. I'll work really hard with the youth players. And if I think they're good enough, they're in. It doesn't matter about their age. And that's what we've done. They were struggling to stay up when I went in, and we stayed up in the last day of the season. We stayed up the following season. Unfortunately, we went down in the last season, but we got the young players in the team, and they were playing away and gaining experience. And I was loving it. I was loving it. Working with the young players, wanting to learn, full of enthusiasm, and that's how the job at Hamilton came about.
Amazing. And I mean, you were just saying there, you didn't know if you were ready for it after seeing what Yogi had to deal with. You become a head coach and you have to deal with sort of COVID-19. How was that as an experience being a manager, and certainly obviously going out there week to week with no fans in the stadiums?
Well, we were used to it at Hamilton, so it didn't matter. No, listen, Hamilton fans that go and support their team are fantastic. Just like any other fans that go and support their team, the club needs the fans, and it crippled clubs. It cost the clubs a lot of money, and it was very, very difficult. Everything was difficult, The situation, nobody knew what was happening. We'd be training, you'd keep a couple of metres apart in training. Sometimes you'd be training, the secretary would be running off the pitch, or you need to get such and such off. His brothers reported COVID, had to take him off the pitch. We were supposed to play Aberdeen in the second game of the season. 7 Aberdeen players, and one got sent off in the first game. 7 players were out on the Saturday night. They would all miss the game. Game got cancelled. For some reason, the game got cancelled. Time we went to play Aberdeen, we had 12 injuries. Wee things like that. We were meant to play St Mirren. Game got cancelled. They had COVID. I asked for a game to get called off at Ibrox because we had so many COVID. Nah, play. We lost. I think that was a game we lost 8-0.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things, it was difficult for everybody. I was no different. It was difficult for every club. And it's always something we never have to go through again. It could have ruined football.
Yeah, 100%. It was, I think it also mentally for fans as well, because it was just their relief, isn't it? It's their release to.
Well, that's what you work all week for. For me,
Yeah,
that's what you work all week for. You work all week. You're hard earned money. You know, you want to go on Saturday and support your team and hope your team gets a good result, so you can go and have a couple of beers with your mates and that and discuss it and all this. But deprived of that, you know, it was surreal. I don't know anybody that enjoyed it. I don't know one football person that enjoyed it. I certainly didn't.
Absolutely. And then you obviously end up leaving Hamilton. You eventually make a return with Alloa after their relegation. First off, stabilising them in League One, and then you make the playoffs the following year. Coincidentally, you play Hamilton in those playoffs in a bit of a topsy-turvy two-leg ties. I know you eventually leave after that, and we will come to that. But do you think were you in a good place of Alloa at that time? Do you think if you had another season, you could have gone one better?
It's the best squad I built. It's the best squad I built at Alloa. When I went in, end of January, beginning of February, it was another fight to stay up. And I went in and I just changed the way we were playing, changed the shape, changed the personnel, because what they were doing wasn't working. So I like to say, well, I need to change something. And I got a reaction for the players. I was always looking for a reaction. I got a reaction, and we went on a good run and we done well. The following season, I think I enhanced the squad. I brought in some players that I wanted to bring in, and we qualified comfortably for the playoffs. Scored a lot of goals. Connor Salmon got 19 goals that season for us, so I must have been doing something right there. Big Connor to score 19 goals. But no, he's a fantastic lad, absolutely fantastic. And we got to the playoffs and won the first leg 1-0 against Hamilton at home. Missed a good chance to make it 2-0. The second leg, well, there's a lot of different issues going on there. I've got to be careful what I say here. We scored 2 goals. We went 3-0 up in aggregate. We got a player sent off. Hamilton should have had a player sent off. And the referee admitted that after the match to me. At half time, he didn't see it that way, but after the match, I actually got a phone call on the Monday morning apologising for the referee supervisor, telling me that the referee made a huge mistake. But that's football. The one thing I would say is we were low in numbers. We were low in numbers for the second half of that game. But we should still have seen it out. No, I should have done better. I should have recognised the dangers and done better. But it's not in my makeup to play safe. It's not in my makeup to play safe. 99 times out of 100, I'm playing with 2 strikers. And people keep saying, well, why are you playing with 2 strikers in this day and age? And I said, well, I think it's easier to score with 2 than it is with 1. You know, I said, I'm just trying to score more in the opposition. You know, and I just felt as though the clubs I was at, I had to get a bit of confidence into them. And they're not more confident than saying, right, well, let's go and win. Forget about that defending and sitting in and hoping for a draw and all that. Let's go and try and win. I mean, we went to Ibrox and won 1-0. We went to Aberdeen and won. Hearts couldn't beat us. You know, it was a good time with good results against Motherwell. You know, last game of the decade, we went to Motherwell and won. You know, local derbies. It's just be playing 2 up front and having a go. And we took a lot of heavy defeats, but I would rather come home at night and lie in my bed and go, give it a go today, than come back and say, oh, we got a point today. Oh, we never go over the halfway line. We never had a corner. We never had a shot at goal. Football's meant to be, in my opinion, football's meant to be entertaining. The object is for my team to score more than your team. You know, I'm at these clubs. We're not going to win every week, but let's have a go every week. And I used to say that to all our players. See whatever happens today. See, as long as we go home tonight and go, we had a go today. Oh, we had a go. Doesn't matter who we're playing. Win, lose or draw. You can then go and enjoy your Saturday night, and the fans will appreciate you having a go. I sit bored and I watch every bit of football. You know, I'll watch 6-7 games on a Sunday, and I'll sit and some of it bores me because people are just keeping the ball for the sake of keeping the ball. They're not trying to score. Fans want to see crosses, shots, deflections, tackles, penalties, red card. They want to see, you know, they pay good money. Football's far too expensive. And I don't think they're getting a lot of value for money a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong, there's some fantastic teams and there's some fantastic players. I just think in general, you know, I would hate to come home at night thinking, I shut up shop today, I parked the bus today. I'm not going to get any pleasure in that. How's my players going to feel? It's just how I am.
No, I think fans would appreciate that as well. It certainly is. I would think that I'd rather not sit in and lose anyway, if you get me. And you always say, why don't we just have a go? If we thought we were underdogs anyway, let's just have a go. It's one of them things, really. I have to ask as well. You did touch on it, but you did work with Connor Salmon, who's man of the match pizza at Partick, was the inspiration for the name of the podcast. We had Mixu Patalainen on recently who worked with him, and he couldn't speak highly enough of Connor. Obviously our dream guest, I'd say as well. But how was he to work with? Obviously you said yourself you got 19 goals out of him that season.
Connor was a manager's dream. He never missed a training session. He never missed a match through injury. Now, in this day and age, that's unheard of, especially for a striker. People see this big 6 foot old boy built fantastically well with a bald head. He looks scary. He's anything but. He's a gentleman. But what he is he's a fantastic role model to MD at Alloa. See, to any kid coming through, to any striker, I used to just say to the kids, watch Connor Salmon, watch how he trains, watch what he does, watch how he applies himself. And it's great testament to him that he's still playing at the age he's still playing now and still scoring goals because he looks after himself. He appreciates what football's given him. I just had him last week actually. He was doing his B licence assessment, and there he was in the pitch. And when I looked around at his half of the pitch, there he's running about, helping everybody. He's a manager's dream. And he'll get the odd goal or two. He scored 19 that season. The following season, he became a bit part player a little bit for me. He was on the bench, but I still got the same effort out. I'm coming on for half an hour as I did for 90 minutes. That's one thing with Connor. A fantastic team player, and a really, really, really good human being.
It's funny, some of the things you just said there, I think Mixu pretty much word for word said very similar. It's manager's dream was something he definitely said. And what an amazing guy. It's good to hear that, especially after you've put his name in your podcast title. It'd be horrible if he was not a nice person. But
I could have stitched you up there. I should have stitched
you could have.
But no, I couldn't do that to the big guy.
Fair enough. And then you leave Alloa to return to full-time football with Livingston under Davie Martindale. Was it as simple as you wanted to return full-time? Was there temptation to stay at Alloa at all?
It just came right out of the blue. I had a bounce game one Tuesday night, and it was half time, and the phone rang. It was the chairman. I thought, I can't get sacked. We won on Saturday, and I answered it. I thought there was something wrong because it's not like the chairman to phone me. He just let me go on with it, and he says, "Look, Davey's been on the phone. He wants to know if I allow you to talk to him and that." It threw me a wee bit. And I says, "Okay, chairman, let me think about it." And I went home and I went to talk to him, and I've always got on well with Davey. And he says, "Look," he says, "every game I go to, you're there. Even when I'm not at a game, I see you on the telly, you're there." He says, and he asked me why. I said, "Because it's my life. It's what I do. It's just what I do. It's just what I've done for the last 40 odd years. That's how I live my life." He'd lost one of his coaches, and he says, "You fancy coming and give me a hand? We're a wee bit light at the minute. We're struggling a wee bit. I could do with a wee bit of experience. You've been through it all before. You're a good bit older than me." He emphasised that. He said, "You've got a lot of contacts up down south and wherever, blah, blah, blah." And I just thought, look, it sounds good. I felt comfortable. I felt comfortable with Davey, and I liked what he had to say. And I know Livingston is a club; it's a local club for me, for where I'm from. I just felt it was the right move. It was hard. I'm not going to lie; it was really, really difficult to leave Alloa because the chairman there was absolutely phenomenal with me. He told me, "I'll never interfere. I'll never question. I'll never step where other chairmen step." And I said, "I've heard all this before." And he never did. He didn't. I'd phone him and he'd say, "What's wrong?" I said, "No, I've not heard from you for 6 weeks." "Well, what's the problem?" I said, "No, I just want to get a wee catch up with you, but there must be a problem if you're phoning me." I says, "No, but I want to run something past you." "What is it?" "Do you think it's the right thing to do? We'll do it. You in budget." that was a good thing. You in budget. He used to let me just work the budget. You have the budget. It's your budget. And I had a really, really good relationship with him. I had a brilliant relationship with all the players and all the staff at Allah. But it was just something inside me saying, well, because I'd said before, I'm not going back full time again. I felt as though it was draining me. It was draining me a lot. But see, when you get the chance to go back, it's hard to explain. It's just something inside you. And I'm saying to myself, great. If I go full time, I can get to games on Tuesdays and Thursday nights now. I don't need to go to training all the time. And these wee things trigger you. And I made the decision, and it was difficult last season, and we got relegated, rightly so. We weren't good enough, but we've revamped the full squad. We've brought younger guys in. We've got energy. We've got enthusiasm, and we've started the season really well. And I done my first pre-season in 1989. And I was saying to the boys, in 1989, this is about my fucking... 1979, what am I talking about? 1980. So I'm saying to the boys, this is my 44th pre-season. And it's, I just love it. I just love being involved with players, and I just love being on the pitch. I love being on the pitch, I said earlier, it's a challenge. It's a challenge every day, putting on sessions that... You see the boys, the noise of the boys are enjoying it. It's just, sometimes it's difficult to explain. I must admit, it's difficult to explain what it does to me. What gets me out of my bed at fucking 6 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes no home till 1 o'clock the next morning or midnight, going right to games. You can't explain to people. It's just, you've either got it or you've not got it. I believe, it's always been my life. And I know football people say that's too much, you've got to have something else outside it. And I say, great, I totally understand that. But I've got a family that understand what football means to me, and they've been brought up with that as well. Like, my dad's not here, he's blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's not in the night again. And it's just how I roll. And for me, I love football so much. I love football, everything.
Listen, I said it earlier, the passion certainly comes out. It's completely infectious, I think. And just on Livy as well, you say you started the season well. I think a few when Livingston went down were maybe a little bit worried about where they might go following a relegation, because they're always working to a smaller budget than most. And I know certainly a few of the pundits sort of tipped maybe a back-to-back relegation, but like you said, you revamped the squad. I think a lot of people now almost got your favourites to go up, some of them anyway. Do you guys, are you setting targets there? Are you just hoping to be around the top end come the business end of the season?
We're hoping to be around the top end, but never listen to pundits. You'll never win anything with kids.
Very true.
When the pundits ever get it right? No, it's in seriousness. It was a blow at the club financially. But sometimes you've got to take a step back, 2 step backs, and then go again. And I think that I think this season will be a good season for Livingston. I'm hoping so. It's certainly a different mindset when you're in the Championship, being in the Premier League. And when you're at a small club in the Premier League, for example, you're going in every day, and you're not going to have 60% possession of the ball, 70% possession of the ball. So your coaching's different. You're coaching a lot of defensive stuff. You're coaching a lot of counter-attack stuff. It's different when you're in the Championship, where it's more a level playing field, where you can actually go in and coach to try and win more games. The emphasis is more on attacking play now. We've still got to go to the defensive stuff. We've still got to do the counter-attack stuff, set plays and everything. It's just the mindset of everybody. These are games that's winnable every week. There's nothing easy. Every game's so difficult. Every team's set up well, but the Championship gives you a chance of winning more matches, and that's common sense, and it's just the mindset it gives players and gives coaches, and it's a wee bit more refreshing than having the pressure on you. I know when I was at Hamilton every week, 1 point is a scrap in a fight. 3 points, wow, what you gave for 3 points. But as soon as you've got that 3 points, come 5 o'clock on Saturday night, now you're worrying about next week. Oh, we've won today, or we've got them next week, and then that team the following week. And you know, the stress and the strain, you really can't enjoy it. You don't have the time to enjoy it because you're worried about the next game.
Mm.
And I'm not saying you don't worry about the next game in the championship, but it's a wee bit more enjoyable when you're coaching to win games rather than coaching not to get beat quite a lot of the time, but still trying to win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it does. It does indeed. And in the sort of the final one, just before we'll do a couple of little quick fire ones at the very end. But what is the future for Brian Bryce? Are you just focused on the coaching? Do you think you'll have another crack at management anytime?
No.
No.
Nah, coaching's my life. Coaching's my passion. I hope I can keep going as long as I can, as long as somebody wants to employ me. Even when they don't want to employ me, I'm there if anybody needs any help. I think I've always said this, not because I'm at the age I'm at now. If I was a younger manager, I would like somebody there that I could have just there where I come up with problems where I've never encountered before. I remember I used to go to Alex Smith, and in Scottish football know who Alex Smith was, you know. And I used to go to him and say, I've had this player in with this sort of problem. And he would talk me through it. Or I'm struggling Alec with a couple of things. And sort of like a wee mentor, you know, that sort of thing. Somebody I could turn to. And I do it with Jim Jeffries. I phone Jim when I'm struggling with some things in the pit, you know, with players and that. And these boys have all been through it. You know, you think this is the only problem. You're the one with this problem, but these problems have been there for years and years and years. And I just think they're a role for people with experience in at clubs where they don't want the manager's job. They can coach if you want to coach, but if you don't want to coach, that's fine. You know, but I like that side, and I love recruitment. I love going looking for players. You know, there's 5 or 6 players, you know, out there that are wee gems that I've found, and give them to other clubs as well. You know, and it's that's what you do on Saturday night when you come home. You get your phone out or your laptop. You go through all the teams looking for all your ex-players. Was he playing today? And then I maybe text one, you know, playing today. He'll text back, no, and I'll just go, how's the gaffer playing his strongest team with a couple of smiling faces? You know, just, you know, you want to see your boys doing well. And I'm still like that right now. So I'm hopefully I'm in the game as long as I possibly can. But I know in football, you know, football moves on. And it'll be what it'll be.
Amazing. And then finally, just a couple of quick fires. Best player you've ever played with?
Johnny Method. Played for Nottingham Forest, signed him for Real Madrid. A big Dutch player, 6'4", size 14 feet, midfield player. Couldn't get the ball off him. Couldn't tackle. Couldn't head it. What a player. Unbelievable.
Incredible. Best player you played against?
Enzo Schifo. Played against him. We played a friendly against Ox there. I was running about like a stolen motor trying to chase him. You know, I don't think I touched the ball for about 70 minutes. Incredible. Played out Gascoigne, Loudrop, boys like that. Oh, fantastic players. Absolutely fantastic. But Enzo Schifo, honestly, I couldn't get near him.
Wow. Best manager you've had?
Oh, I've got to be careful here, Brian Clough for his man management, the way he managed players. Obviously, Yogi for the way he wanted to play football. You know, Yogi just wanted to play total football, and he got a lot of that for Tommy Burns. A lot of stuff for Tommy Burns, working with Tommy Burns, and I just love the way that we wanted us to play football.
Amazing. And I assume I know this answer, but maybe not. Your favourite ever game that you've played in?
Well, maybe a game against Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter final, the old Highbury. John Lukic will not say that right enough, but it was my favourite game.
John Lukic doesn't have much luck against the Scots, does he? Obviously, Leeds keeper in the famous Champions League as well. And finally, the question we asked to all our guests: what is Brian Royce's favourite pizza topping?
My favourite pizza topping is Meat Feast.
Meat feast. I don't think we've had meat feast yet, so
Yeah,
we always like
meat
when we
feast.
get a new one. That's
Meat
amazing,
feast.
Brian.
I like some pizza. Yeah, that's the way forward. Meat feast for me.
Yeah, you're fitting right around here. Brian, it has been an absolute joy, an absolute pleasure. You are completely infectious talking about football. And I wish you all the best for the coming season and coming seasons with Livingston. And hopefully we see you back in the top flight very, very soon.
Sure, thanks very much, and thank you very much for asking me. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.